This is CBN News Watch.
And thank you so much for joining us on this Friday, May 7th, 2021. I'm Ephraim Graham. We begin with encouraging news in the fight against COVID-19. New cases are dropping. There is an increase in the number of those being vaccinated, and new research finds the vaccines may be effective in adolescents. But the United States is not taking its foot off the gas. CBN's Eric Phillips has more.
The U.S. is not letting up on its push to get Americans vaccinated. As health officials say, it's the only way to return to some semblance of normal. And consider this, while some stats indicate the U.S. death toll from COVID hovers around 600,000, a new report indicates that number may be closer to 900,000. Whatever the actual number, advocates say getting vaccinated is a matter of life and death. From broadcast messaging to now boots on the ground.
We are just getting information out about the vaccine.
A new army of foot soldiers going door to door, giving the vaccines direct voice in communities. About a third of the country is fully vaccinated.
This is a campaign. And we have two candidates. Our candidate is the vaccine for life and COVID for death.
This, as both Moderna and Pfizer are reporting that research shows their vaccines are safe and effective in adolescents. Researchers say the Pfizer vaccine also appears to be effective against troubling variants.
The goal would be to make sure that the vaccine is available for vaccinating adolescents over the course of the summer and at least before the coming school year.
Don't be worried. Don't be scared. The people here know what they're doing.
The good news, the U.S. is reporting daily new infections are down 11% over a week ago. But so are the numbers of shots, falling more than 1 million per day since mid-April. And a new poll shows just 9% of unvaccinated Americans are making plans to get the shot. It's why places like New York City are getting creative, rolling out mobile vaccination sites where they will offer the one-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine to tourists in Times Square and Central Park.
Come here, it's safe, it's a great place to be, and we're going to take care of you.
Along with those efforts comes an easing of restrictions as tickets for Broadway shows for the fall are going on sale. And near the nation's capital, an arm of the National Air and Space Museum has reopened.
You know, there is something nice about having a museum of intelligence, which is essentially what this is, a museum of creativity and problem solving. And, you know, maybe this is a metaphor for what we've lost, but hopefully it's a reminder of what we can regain.
This week, President Biden set a goal of getting 70% of U.S. adults to get at least one dose of a COVID vaccine by the 4th of July. As of Wednesday, 57% of adults have done so. Eric Phillips, CBN News.
Former President George W. Bush is calling for bipartisan action on immigration, taking a gentler tone on the issue at the George W. Bush Institute in Dallas, Texas. This comes as the first migrant families separated under President Trump's zero-tolerance policy are being reunited. Senior Washington correspondent Tara Mergener has this story.
Mr. Bush is pushing for an immigration policy that tones down rhetoric, shows respect for migrants, and will lead to reform.
It's become too politicized.
Bush, also a former Texas governor and still resident, has long praised America's immigrant history. One of his regrets is not passing any meaningful reform during his presidency. His 2007 bill that would have created a pathway to citizenship and also tougher border security stalled in the Senate.
To me, this is not only a character issue of the country. It's an issue of our character of our country, but also it's an economic issue. We benefit economically when people come.
Meanwhile, the Biden administration is reuniting families separated under President Trump's stricter immigration laws. Tears of joy as a mother from Honduras hugs her teenage sons. Mabel was sent back to her home country after entering the U.S. illegally. The Ortizes, also one of at least 4 families back together again. After 2 years in detention, officials deported Sandra back to Mexico without her son Brian.
Feels like a dream. Like I was in the car and I was just like, this is finally happening. And I'm really going to be reunified with her after all these times.
These reunions mark the first success of the administration's Family Reunification Task Force. So far, it's identified more than 1,000 families that remain separated. Meanwhile, unaccompanied children keep coming to the U.S., with the Border Patrol picking up about 19,000 in March. That's the largest monthly number ever recorded, and a major test as Biden reverses Trump's hardline immigration policies. Homeland Security says the reunited families will be granted a humanitarian parole status, allowing them to remain in the U.S. while more permanent options are explored. More families are expected to be reunited soon. In Washington, I'm Tara Mergener, CBN News.
After some 12 years as Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu could be on the way out. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now with more on this and other developments. So, Chris, what are the latest political developments coming out of Israel?
Well, Ephraim, one thing that happened just past Tuesday is Benjamin Netanyahu had a 28-day mandate to form a government, and that expired. He wasn't able to do that. So now Yair Lapid, he's the head of what's called the Yesh Atid party, has been given the mandate. Now he has about 28 days from Wednesday to form a government, and he needs to get to 61 seats. That's the number to actually get a coalition government that functions. Now he's negotiating with a man named Naftali Bennett. He's the head of what's called the Yamina party, Yamina meaning right, and yet it's a very, very complicated coalition, Ephraim. They're going to have to try to bring people from the left, people from the right, and the center, as well as help from some of the one particular Arab party, and that's never been done before. And all this is done to unify these parties to oust Netanyahu. They call it over here the change bloc. They want to change from Netanyahu. He's been the longest-serving prime minister in Israel's history, and all they want to do is to put him out. It's going to be very complicated. They say, Naftali Bennett and Yair Lapid say they could do it in a week. That remains to be seen. It's very optimistic, but we'll see. Well, there's been so many changes here politically in the last couple of years. There is a possibility, Ephraim, of actually going to a fifth election later this year.
Waiting and seeing about that. Israel is also helping India, who is dealing with the devastating crisis with the outbreak of the coronavirus. What are the ways they're helping?
Well, one of the ways they're helping right now is they're sending oxygen generators, respirators. India is really facing a crisis right now. They have 20 million cases of the coronavirus. 220,000 Indians have died, and so Israel is doing what they can to try to help out. It really kind of shows the bond that has grown between Israel and India. There's a close relationship between Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Prime Minister of India, and so this is just one way Israel's trying to show that they want to help India while it's undergoing its own crisis right now.
Let's look ahead. What's coming up on Jerusalem Dateline?
Well, we're going to have an update on the coalition, more in-depth story of what I just kind of explained right now. We also have a story on what's happening in Lebanon. Believe it or not, Lebanon, it's really not on a lot of people's radar screens, but Lebanon is near a failed state. Their economy is in shambles, and this is providing an opportunity, perhaps, of Hezbollah, which is the proxy of Lebanon, to take over that country. And finally, Ephraim, we have a unique discovery from the city of David. This is the original capital of Israel that King David set up 3,000 years ago. A unique archaeological discovery. We'll have that story on this week's Jerusalem Dateline.
Thank you, Chris. Looking forward to that and so much more. I want to remind you at home that you can catch Jerusalem Dateline this evening at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and you can find that on the CBN News Channel. Christians across the U.S. joined together for the 70th annual National Day of Prayer. This year's theme is Love, Life, and Liberty. It's taken from 2 Corinthians 3:17, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Many attended the event, including evangelist Ann Graham Lotz. You can watch more on this event.
Christ. It's in his presence, specifically at the foot of the cross, where true love, life, and liberty are found.
Now you can watch more on this event on our website. It's cbnnews.com. There are a number of churches raided by police in Canada. Some of those churches are closed for not complying with COVID restrictions. As CBN's Dale Hurd reports, police face backlash as Canada weighs religious freedom against public health concerns.
There are new fears another Canadian pastor could be on his way to jail for fighting government restrictions on worship because of COVID-19. Calgary, Alberta pastor Artur Pawlowski, a Polish immigrant, has just received a health order listing rules that must be followed to keep his church from being shut down. Observers say Pastor James Coates of Grace Life Church in Edmonton received a similar health order before he was sent to jail for 35 days for not following it. Pawlowski gained international attention when police showed up at his church on Easter weekend checking for compliance with local COVID guidelines.
Get out of this property immediately. Out. I don't want to hear anything. Out of this property.
The pastor continues to push back against officials who visit the church, but police may now be about to arrest him. Pastor Coates is currently on trial for not following the government COVID-19 health rules. His church had to meet at another location when police put a fence around their building, a barrier later torn down by protesters. Life Church Muskoka in Ontario had its service interrupted by police while trying to fully comply with government COVID restrictions. The church called the police response heavy-handed.
An officer of the peace is there to rule to protect and serve to empower. And I didn't see that happen. I saw an agenda manifest that we wanted to enforce some law that we had interpreted, and unfortunately, in my opinion, was interpreted wrong.
Pastor John Arnott of Catch the Fire Ministries and the Toronto Blessing phoned Roberts after the incident and told us religious liberty must be respected.
I think we're allowing the health department to dictate to our political leaders just how it's going to be. A word to the police would be, just go a little bit easier with this kind of thing and give people a break.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
And still to come right here on CBN News Watch, following a tragic loss, two parents bring awareness on teen depression and suicide during the COVID pandemic. And then later, we are going the distance with sports director Sean Brown. He's offering us insights into the latest in sports, including some new mandates affecting baseball fans. All that and more coming up next, right here on CBN News Watch. Stay with us.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
And welcome back to CBN News Watch. Some say COVID-19 shutdowns created a pandemic within a pandemic, especially for students locked out of their classrooms and confined to their homes. Some become frustrated, isolated, and anxious. Charlene Aaron examines the issue through the lens of one family's tragic story.
When public schools shut down last year, millions of homes became virtual classrooms. Students became anxious, disinterested, and isolated, unable to truly interact with friends and teachers. The result? A pandemic within a pandemic, as some struggled to find answers or a way out. Heather Seidel and Michael Moronic have fond memories of their 14-year-old son, Michael Jr.
One of the most unique kids I've ever met. And he just had a really cool personality.
Pretty much one of my favorite people in the world, not just from being my son, but just because of his insight, his humor, goofiness, intelligence.
Then last October, tragedy struck.
The night before he took his life, the two of us were hanging out and watching a movie and eating dinner, and we had a perfectly great night. And then the next morning he woke up and went to his dad's house, and he had a plan.
Seidel recalled the moment she learned about her son's suicide, shortly after leaving him at his dad's.
He sent me a text after I'd already dropped him off. So I literally probably almost caused a 20-car pileup because I turned around in the middle of Baltimore City, I wasn't even thinking because I just freaked out and drove back to his house. And by that time, it was too late.
An honor student who had just transitioned to high school, Michael struggled with virtual learning when COVID shut down his school.
The response to the virus has been worse than the virus itself for our younger people. They get a break from whatever may be going on or the stressors at home.
So I'm getting these reports every day saying your kid's failing. And Michael's like, I turned it in. And there's, this pressure building inside of him where, I'm literally freaking out thinking my kid is going to fail. By that time, he was already 30 assignments behind.
And this family isn't alone, as medical and education experts continue to warn about the negative impact of school closures. According to Mental Health America, 2020's rate of children ages 11 through 17 screened for anxiety and depression jumped 9% over the previous year. CDC data also shows emergency room treatment for kids with mental health conditions skyrocketed from April to October last year. Seidel says faith in God makes the difference in helping her deal with the loss of her son.
Having that commitment to really turn towards God every day. And I just put this whole situation on his feet and said, you got to help me. Because I cannot do this by myself. It's so hard. So that's really kept me.
Today, Michael's parents want to use their loss to help raise awareness about teen depression and suicide, launching the Arrow of Light Foundation in their son's honor.
We want to remove any financial obstacles. We want to help remove that stigma by talking about it. If we can provide them with, give them an Uber gift card and just literally get them there, or they can do telehealth, whatever it takes to help them with their mental health.
That, every person is important. Maybe not to yourselves at that time, but you are important to somebody else. So you're not alone. It's never a problem to talk to somebody. If it's somebody you know or somebody you don't know, you just be able to talk.
Meanwhile, Seidel says although her son is no longer here with her, she plans to keep fighting for other kids and parents.
My son and I were just baptized together the year before this happened in 2019. And, I truly believe that he's a believer, but, the enemy was talking louder. So we lost him. We lost the battle. We haven't lost the war.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Praying for that family and all young people. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain, get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Turning now to the world of sports and Philadelphia 76ers basketball player Tobias Harris, who's built a reputation for his skills on the court and off the court for his faith and humanitarian efforts. Harris shared his faith during a master class that was led by his pastor, William McDowell. He says he uses every interaction to show the light within him. He points out, I know that God has always been something that I've tried to embody, is to help somebody on a daily basis, because we really don't know everyone's walk of life and what they've gone through. Once I continued to have that type of approach, it just allowed me to truly understand and fall in love with the blessings that I have in my life, the job that I have, the family I have, the health that I have, all the way down the line. He maintains that no matter what changes may come his way, God is a constant anchor. CBN News Sports Director Sean Brown joins us now. So, Sean, Tobias Harris is certainly not the only athlete using his platform to share his faith, but what more can you tell us about his walk?
You know what, Ephraim? Here's a guy who understands it. I mean, Tobias, that's what we're called to do. We're called to be missionaries. Go make disciples of all the nations. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And this NBA veteran understands that. He understands that he's been given a platform to share his faith, to go and share with people that, hey, there's more to this thing called life. If you're doing it with God, it becomes a little bit easier because God can take some of that weight off of life that you're carrying around. And that's what hope is. And it's just encouraging to see this NBA player with this platform going out and sharing God's light with the world. And that's who he is. I mean, you read all the quotes. Anyone he meets, he loves to embrace them and let them know that he's a believer. He's not shying away from that. He's saying, look, hey, you see me as an NBA player. That's just my job. That's not who I am. There's so much more to me than, what you see, on the basketball court. I do a lot more. Who I am, my faith is what defines me. Basketball is just what I do. It's just a small portion of who I am. And so here's a guy who gets it. God, his whole plan is to reconcile the world unto himself. And so that he gets that. And he's going out and using his platform to play his role in that.
That's the call on all of our lives. Good to see. Let's turn now to New York. Baseball fans could be returning to the game, but there's a move to separate vaccinated from non-vaccinated. What's your thoughts on this move?
You know what? This is the moment that we've all been waiting for. The moment where we can kind of get back to some normalcy with professional sports, college sports. In New York, they're saying, hey, you know what? We're open for business. With the uptick of people getting vaccines, we can get back to entertainment in these live venues. And so for the Mets, for the Yankees, they're going to allow full capacity. If you have the vaccine and you can prove that you have the vaccine, the whole stadium is open to you. They will have a separate section for those who are unvaccinated, only because the vaccination is voluntary. And so because it's voluntary, they don't want to restrict all the privileges for people that have not chosen to get the vaccine. And so they're saying, hey, you can come to the stadium, enjoy the game. There'll be a specific area for you There's still going to be social distancing in that area. But for those of us who are vaccinated, for those fans who are vaccinated, full capacity. You can sit next to your friends. You can sit next to your family. And so they're fully open for business. There are going to be some safety protocols, of course. Everyone still has to wear masks. They want to keep everyone safe. They're even Yankees even partnered with the health department to say they're offering the Johnson & Johnson vaccine at games. They're making it available to fans at games. And so for the first 1,000 fans that sign up, they're offering free tickets. And so it's just it's fun to see. It's exciting to see that we're getting back to enjoying sports in the actual venue that they're played. So really, really exciting stuff.
To see the world slowly returning to normal. Sean Brown, thank you so much. Coming up, we've got a Friday Faithful Word for you. Stay with us for an uplift to jumpstart your weekend. We'll be right back.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
A few notes to share before we say goodbye. First, your Friday Faithful. Know this: God is a giver of great gifts. And in the words of an old song I grew up hearing, you can't beat God's giving. The more you give, the more He gives to you. So keep on giving, because it's really true. You can't beat God's giving, no matter how hard you try. And before we say goodbye, we want to share with you Proverbs 31. It says, strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with the wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. With that, we say happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. We'll see you right back here come Monday. Goodbye, and God bless everybody. Thanks for watching.